I literally bring a snake inside of the training room.
9.
Like a 9. Okay, cool. What would make it a 10?
Put it on me.
And isn't it interesting to think about? Like, our brains work so quickly. And so what if you could unlearn something just as quick? But the thing is, you got to be ready to let go of it. There are 2 primary fears and 2 common fears that we're born with. One is the fear of falling and one is the fear of loud noises. And brain science shows that there is no difference neurologically between excitement and fear. You guys have heard this before, right? Can you think of a specific thing that you used to be afraid of that you're no longer afraid of? And you can, can't you? Which means you've overcome fear in the past, which means you can overcome fear now. And what if you took a fascination inside of that fear and you began learning? Because new information, new data streams, as we've learned over the last couple of days, new data streams can change patterns. For example, let's say you have a fear of failure. What if you researched 30 people who had the same fear or who had overcome all kinds of different obstacles to reach their targets and goals? How much more would you create the resources and the stories in your mind that say that's possible for you too? One of the ways that we're programmed is through intense emotional experiences. When I was 5 years old, I was stung by a bunch of bees, like 5 to 10 bees. And I remember the searing pain. It stung so bad, and I remember crying uncontrollably. Over the course of time, the pain from the stings of the bees went away, but what was left was a program, a belief about bees, that bees are dangerous. And I remember that moment on, anything that came in the vicinity that sounded like a bee or looked like a bee, I went into a totally crazy response, crazy response, crazy response, crazy response. So just turn all of it black and white. Take another deep breath in. That's on the count of 3. You're going to fast forward from frame 1 all the way to frame 3. Ready? 1, 2.
Yeah. Give me some.
The question is that have you taken a look at some of those old programs and some of those old patterns to reassess whether they're currently valuable for you or not? Because when we take on a belief from 5 years old, 6 years old, and we take it into adulthood, it serves us for a period of time. But then it gets to a point where it's not serving us anymore and it's actually beginning to hinder us. And so it's our jobs to always be looking within to see what belief patterns have I adopted over the course of my life that are no longer serving me. Process that was taught inside of that training called Fast Phobia Cure. It's one of NLP's most well-known processes, and it literally can help people overcome lifelong phobias in a very short period of time. And she has a phobia of snakes. And I know this in my head. I know this going into the training. So on day 2, when I'm teaching the Fast Phobia Cure, I literally bring a snake inside of the training room. As we go through the process, now, as it relates to overcoming obstacles and overcoming limiting programming, there are some very fast ways to overcome limiting programming, and there are other ways in which the process of change may take more time. But it really just depends on how ready are we to let go of that fear. What's the reward for overcoming it and letting it go, and what's the cost of holding on to it? And by the end of the process, She is literally holding the snake.
Wait.
Take a deep breath in. Just relax.
Oh my god.
That's cool.
Just stay warm.
Good job.
Oh my god. This is weird. Isn't it so weird?
She just wants to eat her hand.
Oh,